Nah, this is better. Woo! Big dog status. Big dog status. Great. We might as well get this. Okay, so the only reason why I haven't been wearing this in the videos is because my feather freaking fell off. So I'm not sure how to. This is gonna stay on. This may or may not stay on throughout this video. But if it doesn't, who cares, man? We got to get this video out to you guys. So hat's back, I'm back. Dropout Professor, welcome back to the spot. I hope you brought your utensils with you, whether you roll it up, whether you throw it in a device, whether you got an electronic device. What's the shit intro? My wizards and witches, all of my mystic people who enjoy this channel, and everybody else who appreciates the content that I'm sharing on this page. Welcome back to another episode of Dream Chasers Insanity. I hope, only hope, I intend for you guys to receive some amazing information again today. Me, the Dropout Professor, is very thankful to have you here. Very blessed to not be in so much college debt that I'm working more jobs than I can handle to stop me from being able to do what I really want to do, which is just give you guys great game, develop a real conscious community, and hopefully that sets up the foundation for us to change the world in a way that allows us human beings to not only accept ourselves more, but fully engage and integrate ourselves with this real human experience we're having. We live in a world where the only thing that these giant corporations and big tech has to sell us is illusions of completion, illusions of acceptance, illusion of validation that comes from the outside to complete us on the inside. But what if we decided to go the complete opposite route because we knew that was all traps and lies? What if we decided to say, you know what, instead of putting masks on myself to hope I get validation, instead of putting myself in circumstances to hope I get validation, instead of putting myself out there to hope I get validation, to hope somebody sees me, why don't I start to take time to look into the mirror and see myself? And in doing that, not only will I be able to become aware of the areas in my life and the aspects of myself that I'm ashamed of and I'm not willing to accept, but I give myself an opportunity to uniquely appreciate those, uniquely actualize those into this reality. And in doing that, I give others in the real world an opportunity to appreciate them and me for who I really am. And on top of that, I give myself an even greater, deeper opportunity to be more appreciative of my journey because I'm the one that took responsibility to go on it. And I'm the one who makes the decisions on it. And I'm the one who receives the good and the bad that could be a consequence for me standing on my truth. I wanted to end this video here, but I'm starting to believe this is actually probably where we should start the video. True power is rooted in personal responsibility. There's a video I made about self-love salvation a couple of videos back, and I speak about how we live in a world where the masters of our society have taken power by ownership and controlling people, but not assumed power by being so responsible for what has been given to them that they have assumed higher, greater roles or positions of power to claim ownership to, if that makes sense in your mind. But in knowing that power that is taken, power that is owned, that only makes sense or is only viable in a master-slave society, not in a society where the people, everyday people, get to look within themselves, determine, self-determine value, and then share that with the world. Because to do that, we have to look within and know that we have the ability to not only validate these things that go on within us, but we also have an opportunity to be responsible for the decisions that we make in this life and contributing to the experience that is our life. Not constantly being at the mercy of other people, constantly being at the mercy of the external world or a consequence of our circumstances rather than somebody who is contributing to them. I'm very excited. One thing as an autistic person I've had to realize is that people don't want the truth. Like, we live in such a heavily performance-based culture and like performative culture that people would rather have a lie that is covered in sugar and honey and sweets than they would take the truth if the truth tasted a little bitter. Even if it only tasted bitter at first and then it got sweet afterwards. We live in a society that's been so convenient, people will say, no, just give me the sugar and just keep giving me the sugar until I can't consume anything anymore. But just anything to not do the bitter. And I'm somebody who is so in the bitter, like you won't get to the sweet parts of me until you get past the bitter. So I feel like I'm kind of a side character in this society, attempting to give parts of myself to a world that doesn't really care about me for who I am and the complexity of who I am. It only cares for the things that I can do and provide to it. So I've just accepted that and realized my greatest form of acceptance and validation will come from within myself and from other people who live in experiences and circumstances similar to mine. And I'm okay letting society not ever be able to understand that because it's not intellectually capable of doing something like that. And that's okay. But me as a person can respect myself in ways that I know how I should, and the community I exist around, the environment that I put myself in to harbor my development or to regulate my development should respect me in the ways that I respect myself. So I can best contribute to this greater collective consciousness, this greater world, without ever having to sacrifice who I really am to get to where I'm trying to go. Because that knowing of who we are and our feelings and our emotions and our desires, that's the only truth that we will eternally be connected to in this human experience. You're going to learn from different teachers. You're going to live in different environments. You're going to go to different institutions and you're going to find different opportunities. But the only person that remains will be you and your awareness of self, whatever that is to be for you. And you are responsible for listening to that voice that speaks within you. You're responsible for feeling those emotions that bubble up inside you. You're responsible for acting upon the ideas and the visions that have been blessed onto you, not anybody else. Because that's what we came into this world to do. If we were all the same human being, they wouldn't have to force us into all being the same human being. They would accept us for the complexity of what we are and allow us to actualize that as far reaching onto this earth plane as we could. Pretty long intro. Apologize for that, but this is what I'm trying to get to with that thing I was saying with like the whole bitter and sweet analogy is that even though this might be what you need to hear, if you aren't in a position to take accountability for the areas where you failed and you flawed in your life, if you aren't willing to take responsibility for the sacrifices you need to make and for the things you need to do, if you aren't ready to receive this, I almost guarantee you, because it happens to everyone in my life, you project it onto me and you say, no, Destiny, you're wrong. No, Dark Wizard, you're a liar and you're in psychosis and you need to go to a psych ward. Been there, done that. But remember, I have to take these lessons out of the life that I'm really living to share them with you. I'm not going and watching somebody else live a life and then taking from there and then sharing it with you by proxy. I'm living my life, and from the life I'm living, I'm taking these lessons and I'm sharing them with you. From the things that I'm learning, from the mistakes that I've made, from the illusions that I've fallen for, I'm sharing them with you. And I'm giving you an opportunity to apply what I've learned from my life and my experience and my awareness to your life. And if you can add on and you can start to reconstruct and adjust these concepts in your life, then you give the next person that you hand off this knowledge to an even greater opportunity to be aware and to make decisions within that awareness in their own life. Because that's what I really feel like we're doing. Another side note here, I'm sorry I'm going on a tangent here, but when we started increasing prices to access higher forms of education, we forgot the importance of being able to have access to intellectual information, to wisdom, and how important it was for not only us to cultivate that wisdom within ourselves, but to be responsible for sharing it to the next or the fellow citizen of our community. How important it is for us to work with our minds together. So we don't have a bunch of individuals who are all smart people, but don't know how to humble that individual intellect into a way that can be applicable to a community, to a collective, to groups of people. So the consequence ends up being all the smart people get in a room, validate themselves as being smart people, but never really actualizing that intellect into a way that can actually better the world they live in. Just further separating themselves from the people who need them and them humbling themselves enough to actually serve them. I do this shit for real, bro. I'm gonna be dead honest with you, bro. You look me in my eyes, my beautiful brown eyes, and you look at my beautiful black skin, and you look at my big old black and you just have to know that I do this shit for real. That's all I'm gonna let you know. Okay? So, of course, I don't even hate to get into this. Give me some money. I got links in the description if you'd like to give me some money, but do it through the legal business way. Or there's more ways you can give me some money if you'd like to do that, just below this video. So go ahead and contribute if you'd like. And if you can't do that, or if you aren't in the financial position to contribute to such an amazing community we're building here, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, share. Let this video out into the ether and allow the people of Earth to see this video and apply these lessons to the life that they live. Without further ado, let's get into this video. So understand this, as we begin this video, let me make sure this is recording. I don't even hear that little blink. All right, I see it now. Okay, so you got to understand this. Living in a master-slave society, we basically have not just one master, a class of masters who decide that they are the masters, not by any kind of responsible assumption. It's simply, I am, and we are, and we pick who is, and that is it. So we have our master class who determines who the masters are, determines how the group looks, how the group presents itself, and also determines the social structures that will be used to reinforce the master-slave dichotomy of society. I know I wrote distribution, but dichotomy sounds way cooler and way more intellectual right now. You know what? Actually, that's probably the wrong word to even use. So let me just go back to saying these systems of oppression validate the master-slave society. Manufacturing slaves, reinforcing the power of the masters, and then reinforcing the standard of society in its imbalance to be perceived as balanced, so nobody breaks away from natural imbalance, to go back to the balance that they are owed. Many of these issues with the master-slave society that we'll get into are directly in relation to one specific demographic of people attempting to own, by self-determination, a diverse collective of humans that leading class of person does not know anything about. Not spiritually, not physically, not mentally, not nothing about these people. Just that is a human-looking thing that can provide me more value by exploiting it. So let me jack it for everything that I can, not in the intimate way either. Jack from it all of its energy, all of its value, all of its self-worth, and make sure that it becomes codependent on gaining crumbs from a system that is creating me millions, or creating me the whole entire cake. So we don't even have to do too much discussion on the master-slave part of society and the master side, because we talk about this literally every single episode. If you guys aren't willing to accept that this is the new generation of modern slaves, and our chains are now not in the form of actual chains on our necks and on our ankles and on our wrists. The chains are the debt that we carry. The chains are the emotional issues that we suppress and hold inside. The chains are the mental health issues that we aren't addressing. The chains are the trauma bonds in our relationships and are the broken families that we are creating by having babies with people that we aren't truly able to be in relationship with, or we don't have the support to be in relationship with. So we're not only blaming the people, because that's not what we're supposed to do. Everybody knows what responsibility they need to take. You don't need to add on to shaming them into doing that. Give them an opportunity to see where they can make better decisions and allow them the opportunity to do so. I wrote the type of community or the consequence to community right after the systems of oppression, because I need to let you know that it's not just somebody saying, patriarchy this, and everybody just follows along and then it just, breaks down society, which it does. But to be more specific, these systems of oppression have to be cultivated. It's an idea, it's a concept that needs to be cultivated in a community of consciousness to turn it into a validated culture. Because these are ideas at the end of the day. We're just so many years down the line of forcefully validating these ignorant, idiotic systems of oppression. We think that they actually make sense, but they don't. It's just that these systems have grown so powerful, even if there is viable competition that can put them out of the race for making any sense to anybody more than 1% of people, this system will destroy that, will illegitimize that, delegitimize that. Will find a way to punch down at anything rising up that could be competition. And that is just colonial capitalist business tactics. Oh, those of us at the top are about to lose our power at the top. How about we just keep on kicking the freaking door down? So nobody from that's screaming down there can access what we're doing. Other than the ones that we pick, because then we can continue to exploit these people based on the illusion of, or exploiting their belief in and their hope enough to keep them perpetuating this system by seeking validation out of it, rather than freeing themselves from thinking that they will ever get validation from this system. Because essentially, I need to keep you as a master, I need to keep you on a hamster wheel of slavery, not on a marathon or a pathway where you can see the end, or you can choose to opt out of even being on the path at all. I need every step you take, as from the master's perspective, I need every step you take into thinking that you need to run faster, you need to run harder, you need to be better than the other people who are running on these hamster wheels, and you aren't doing enough ever. Constant, 110% of what you have to get 1%, hopefully get 1% in return. Because you also, if you're one of these rejects of the socially accepted system, you might never get it. You might just be running on the hamster wheel just to run on it, because you're too ignorant to see that your value does not come from this system. Your value comes from what you sacrificed to play the game. Which actually throws us into this bottom section. These systems being imposed onto society, being sold into society, the people being sold lies and giving their real value to receive the illusion of salvation, receive the illusion of completion that they're truly seeking, throwing them into a debt trap for them to now forcefully be engaged in this society to find a way out of the same society that they thought, they thought they were in agreement with to help them access freedom or actualize the American dream. But actually, you're just in credit card debt now, and you're in student loan debt, and you're in medical debt, and you have a mortgage to pay. So you're in housing debt. And you have kids, and you have a marriage, You better not leave that marriage, because you know that's going to put you in emotional debt and financial debt. You see how crazy that is? From the time you're 0 to 18, you're fully indoctrinated to be an American citizen, an American flying monkey. And then the second that's done, you're forced into or accepting or signing yourself into lifetimes of debt. And then also at the same time, you're forced to pinpoint, needle in a haystack, your career into the future and predict the economy that is being preyed upon and raped by rich people and corporations every single day, literally leaving us at a point where we as Gen Z people don't have a future anymore. Simply because it was all sold off to line the pockets of our future kings, gods, and leadership, which is going to be the American oligarchy by 2035. Yeah, we sold the opportunity to be able to have housing. We didn't even know we were selling it. We sold the opportunity to be able to live in walkable communities. We didn't even know we were selling it. We sold the opportunity to have access to basic social welfare. We didn't even know we were selling it. And you know how we sold it? Because the powers that be were able to convince these mid-level managers that immigrants were taking social welfare and not everyday Americans were using social welfare. So that's how rich people got not poor middle class people to take away benefits from poor people. As if those middle class people wouldn't become those poor people the second rich people got tired of having to sell you dreams. It's not a matter of who's right and who's wrong. You already bought into the system. You submitting yourself into this game, you've already lost. You're at the mercy of the master of the game who convinces you that he is not the master of the game. He convinces you that he's playing the game with you and you guys have fair opportunity. As if his daddy is not the master of this game, or the failsafe of this game we're playing doesn't automatically prioritize his well-being, even the well-being of his feelings, over the actual livelihood and experience of the marginalized people who are manipulated into playing the game. And by feeding us little bits of success through validation, through celebrity status, through a little bit of good money, through these like big contracts, like Hollywood contracts, we keep our hope in the system, keeping the system alive by our own being. We put our time, our energy, our investment, our money, our everything into this system as slaves. And we get nothing in return. That's what makes us slaves. The master, all he has to do is reinforce the system that is, or find a way to make the master side of the system even better, exploiting the slaves so the master can use even less of the 1% that they're contributing to this society to make even more than the 99% they're already making off of it. That's what master-slave society means. People aren't even putting in 100 and getting 100. They're not putting in 50 and getting 50. They're putting in 99 and getting 1%, if that. Many people are being sold, have been sold the illusion of getting 1% for years now, and they've never gotten that. And they're still putting in their 99%. I can't wait to see what kind of shit they're going to be saying to themselves on their deathbed. How are you going to... I want to clip this part right here, but I think this is a very important part too, because this is basically like the mid-level manager class of the ruling class of society, which says right here, these are the people whose hope is still perpetuating this game, this social culture. The people who, forgive me, first I have to explain what this line even is, because we've just been going into the ruling class. Let me explain what this line is, why these people are above here, why they're down here, and then we'll get into where we're trying to go. The reason why I speak so heavily and so directly about this master-slave class of society is because the master class lives above the line. So not only can they determine what the ruling class gets to do and the privileges of the ruling class, they also get to determine what is not acceptable. Now, a single source demographic of people ruling over a diverse collective of the world's people is going to have a field day picking out all the aspects of other types of people that they don't like, fixing them to be more in a reflection of what the ruling class is. Let's use whiteness, for example. Ethnic standard or ethnic features are dehumanized, hypermasculinized, rejected, humiliated because they don't fit in the standard of whiteness. But you're not going to tell me that there's 5 demographics of white girl in America? Like 5? And everybody is assimilating through those 5? Yet there's all different types of other ethnic people. There's different complexities, different expressions, different ideas, different energies, but no. Fit yourself through these 5 archetypes that we are literally right next to because of our whiteness, but you aren't because you're literally not. But hate yourself because you'll never be us. And then spend your whole entire life attempting to fix yourself for our acceptance or fixing yourself to try to be as close to us as you could be, even though you never will. The greatest form of self-hatred ever. Knowing you'll never be like these people and still trying to make yourself just like them. So, for the people who have to even play this game of fearing for their lives and their ability to be above or below the line, let's recognize this. The socially acceptable class is motivated by fear. Motivated by fear that they will fall below the line and get disrespected in the same ways that the people who already exist below the line will. So if they can't continue to validate why they deserve to be above the line, what are they going to do? Make it increasingly more difficult for anybody to access anything above the line, while also punching down at everybody who gets above the line through honesty and real fair play. And on top of that, being a part of the class that validates the master picking which slaves the master wants to represent the slaves in society to continue to exploit the hope from the slaves, thinking that if they just fix themselves enough, they'll be there. If you just cut off enough of your this, if you just cut your hair, if you just trim your nails, if you just show up on time, if you just stop smelling like that, if you just stop eating your ethnic food, if you just stop showing up and speaking like that, then maybe we'll accept you. And maybe in our ability to accept you in a world that's full of shame and rejection, you will start to accept yourself. All of what I just explained, completely abandoning the power of personal responsibility and the ability to validate the self, inner awareness, inner validation. And then in knowing that and having the inner validation, being able to find a world that accepts and appreciates that, or create a world that accepts and appreciates that. And then creating steps, opening the door, making opportunity for others to be able to find that and find peace and solace in acceptance of their being in that. I've been speaking about this a lot, and I'm going to have to even probably speak about it more. I'm going to speak about it more. I already forgot what I was saying. God damn it, bro. Let me just, because I already forgot that last point, it was a beautiful one, but because I already forgot that, let me just finish off speaking about this line, and then we'll get into the last part of our video, which is explaining why, like, we the poors will never be fixed enough and to be accepted in the society. We just need our fucking human rights. So, on the direct contrary of the acceptable class and how they are motivated by fear, and that is exploited by the ruling class to keep them perpetuating this system, how are we going to perpetuate the poors to be addicted to this game that is not serving them? Literal insanity. We are going to inspire them to get above the line, and we're going to have them believing that there is an actual real chance and real opportunity that their salvation comes from either being picked from the bottom to be above the line or from working hard enough, American grind set, to get above the line. Mind you, this is all a lie. And they don't have to tell us the truth. Because at the end of the day, our ability to be aware of the truth and to discern the lies is going to be the only thing that matters. Yeah, we're going to get shamed for not eating up the lies and not eating the bullshit and drinking the Kool-Aid, yeah, we're going to get shamed. Yeah, we're going to get excluded. Yeah, we're going to get rejected for it. Nobody else is going to care for us like we will, though. Especially marginalized people, especially slaves in a slave master society. Nobody will care for us like we do and people who live like us do. So we, as the poors, even perpetuate this system, hoping to be accepted. But fundamentally being rejected and not being able to come to be at peace with or come to terms with why we are rejected for who we are and why we cannot find acceptance in that. Why we have to put ourselves aside to hope that these other people, these average people, these people who are the mediocre standard get to decide in my divinity how acceptable I am, how worthy I am of being at peace in who I am. Because somehow human beings who have been here for hundreds of thousands of years, if not millions of years, have to earn that. But the people who've been here for 6,000 years or just started this cult 6,000 years ago don't have to validate why they deserve to destroy a world full of people that don't look like them, don't live like them, and then also be able to put us all through, funnel us all through their spiritual salvation suicide cult to manifest the reality of their desires. I'll explain all of that way more in the white Jesus, or forgive me, blonde Jesus from Africa is not coming to save your black ass in America. But to conclude this little second portion of the video, everyone that is near the line, which is 99% of society, anybody who exists in this space, you have to recognize they're only fighting here because they aren't in they're only fighting here because they have not been in a place where they can fully accept or fully reject themselves. Like they've never actually had to finally get to that one spot in their life that is, I am. They are still fighting and fighting and fighting and running on that hamster wheel for that validation. Not like it's you. And I talked about this in the people pleaser video that I made a couple videos back. But you don't know if they've just been running for so long chasing the validation, they're running just to run, or they're actually still dumb enough to believe that they're chasing the validation of somebody who's never going to give it to them. So that's why you have to give people space and opportunities to choose for themselves, just to give them a chance to see who they are, and for you to give people a chance to see who they are. Because some people are fully content with just running on the hamster wheel and getting thrown their little dog treats while they're on their Scooby snacks. So some people are fully content with that. And that's it. They never want the filet mignon. They never want the 5-star meal. They never want the 5-star rock star bad. You know what I'm saying? They're cool just getting whatever gets thrown to them while they're running on their little hamster wheel. And everybody else, all the other slaves around them are also running on their little hamster wheel. As long as they're able to keep running, I mean, who are they to question anything? Because they can't do it for themselves, right? Have they even got to a place of self-awareness to determine if they can do it for themselves or not? We don't know. But all of that perpetuates this crabs in a bucket mentality and crabs in a bucket society, where we the people are tearing each other apart limb from limb to gain access to scarce resources, or this illusion of resources, or this illusion of scarcity in a abundant resource society, to continue to drag out, siphon out every bit of energy that we could ever have to perpetuate the cycle and validate this idiotic game that we're playing of master slaves, cops, and robbers, instead of take our value, our energy out and find new systems to invest them in, new ways to organize and adapt ourselves to actually create some kind of equitable society, or a society that allows the abundance of wealth and value created by the people who actually create it to benefit from that and to receive in a reciprocal sense that energy back. Because then there's absolutely no limits as to where we could go as a society. It's simply there's no masters that can claim ownership of it, because we will all be responsible for playing a role in it. Last clip, let's check it out. Now we can get into the juice, the jammy, what I'm trying to speak about, the main squeeze of this video. The people who are in the rejected class of society, like they haven't played the game to where they are above the line of social acceptance. They don't have any track record. They don't have any network. They don't have any wealth. They don't have any identity. It's just, other white people, more times than not, who are confused as to why they are also white, but they aren't being privileged by the same system that is known for inherently giving more humanity to white people than other people, based on some false illusion, like BS doctrine that like dehumanizes marginalized people and black people. It's so hard for me to speak about this without speaking about like whiteness, because that's just like the most obvious sign of this. Like you determine that this color is perfect, and then everything else needs to fix itself to better be in alignment with this. So when I speak about self-improvement, that's like the most it's the easiest one to hit on. And not the easiest, but it may be the most important one to hit on, because there's so many diverse people who are rejecting the value that exists in their uniqueness, only to reject it, hoping that the validation of the ruling class of people in this society, white people, are going to be willing to validate them enough to hope that they accept the unacceptable parts of themselves enough to access those gifts. How can somebody who already doesn't humanize you from the outside of you, doesn't view you as 100% human, infinitely complex, how are they going to be able to see the things that are uniquely in you, uniquely felt and touched and experienced by you, to actualize them into this world? How will they? And if you can even do that, but not actualize it for yourself, you're just giving somebody else the blueprint on what you could be doing for your own life. The reason why I had to bang on that, the whiteness aspect of this, is because one thing that whiteness doesn't allow white people, especially white people who have been rejected by this society or social reject white people, to understand, is that they're the only ones that can fix themselves into being socially acceptable. The rest of us marginalized people, we will never be accepted by this system, because the deification of white people is rooted in the dehumanization of as many other real human beings as possible, to make white people who don't accept themselves beyond the dehumanization and oppression of other people feel real. The supremacist mindset comes fundamentally from a hyper-traumatized, super lonely, super self-rejecting center. And in being able to build a community around that, systems were made to not address that, but to protect that feeling by becoming the monster that traumatized it, and then ending up destroying the world around it to protect from having to face that inner traumatized, lost self. What archetypes of white people are you going to see attempting to convince you that all it takes for you to accept yourself is going to be fixing yourself into social acceptability? I have found 3 common archetypes. One is a masculine aligned, one is a feminine aligned, and one is, I consider, a child. So where the masculine will be red, The masculine will be blue, the feminine will be red, and then the child will be purple. And in knowing these, at least it gives you an opportunity to decide whether or not you're going to put yourself in that bullshit. All I'm asking you is to find out how this improvement, this desire to improve yourself, how is it truly like rooted in maybe the trauma that you faced or the shame that you've been brought up with? And why are you really trying to go on a self-acceptance journey, but you feel like because of this American grind set, you have to like put this hard work in and like drink all this celery juice and eat only raw veggies and go to the gym at 5 a.m. in the morning and never talk to no women. Like, you think it has to be hard. So you call it self-improvement, but you forget that it's supposed to be a loving journey, a journey of knowing, of getting to be in relationship with, of literally getting to know yourself, and in getting to know yourself, finally finding space and time to accept that, invest in that, care for that, cultivate that. And that is a whole journey on its own. So where some people are improving themselves to fix themselves to compensate all the rejection that they experienced in their lives, some of us are taking all that rejection as a means of, you know what, maybe I'm just not around the right people. Because the happiest people in this world, in this life, are the ones that fully accept themselves in spite of the rejection that is so rampant in the outside world. The people who don't have to spend money on things they don't like, people who don't have to go to places they don't want to go, people who don't have to pursue lifestyles that they aren't aligned with because they are accepting of themselves. And in a world full of people who are codependent onto identities that do nothing for them or that present a version of themselves that they would like, people aren't really comfortable around that realness. Keep going into tangents here. Let's explain these examples. One type of self-improvement archetype, the masculine angle, is the green juice, red pillars, like the self-improvement bros. And I aligned that with frat bro wellness. Basically, that's what I called it. I think it's a bunch of frat bros who realize that they've been trashing themselves throughout their 20s and maybe their 30s, and now they're tired of that. But then also, they want to call themselves high value, but they aren't doing anything of value or creating any value whatsoever. So they need to look at their shitty life circumstances and make themselves somebody who can be acceptable. This is a man's like healing journey. Oh, I'm gonna lone wolf, and I'm not talk to any girls. I'm not gonna fap, and I'm not gonna this, and I'm only gonna do this, and I'm gonna eat the same thing every single day. Like, how many of us men started our self-improvement journey because of rejection or because of how much we hated the position that we were in? If we start to pursue a path with the intention rooted in hate, even if it's not hatred for us, we will slowly start to hate ourselves along the way. Because we know it's not who we are. We know the goal has been for validation, but we made the mistake of putting the validation we needed into the hands of other people, leaving our path, our life story, our destiny in their hands as well. It's considered frat bro wellness. I don't even have to explain that again. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The rejection of the self is projected onto, oh, the world hates me. The world doesn't like me. So let me reject the world in hopes that in rejecting the world, but also recording content of me rejecting the world, you know what I'm saying? I'll accept myself through this. Many of those male self-improvement bros, I'm telling you right now, if they're not just like straight up lying to you and they're all just like Nepo kids or just scammers, they don't believe half the stuff they're saying. What point are you trying? This is my question for every self-improvement bro that hasn't found like another identity outside of that. How much improvement do you have to do to get to a point where you stop? Or is improvement forever? Like it's just like a grind set thing. Like, what are you improving for? What is the destination that you're improving for? And what is going to keep inspiring you to improve yourself after you've reached that destination? It won't be new opportunities. It won't be a new awareness. It'll be you constantly thinking about that version of you that got rejected, the girl that cheated on you, the friend that stabbed you in the back, figuratively, the family that left you behind, that family that invalidated you. It'll constantly be about the world rejecting you. So now you need to reject the world until you can accept yourself. And that's where many of us men fall into this isolation trap and we never make it out alive. Black pill, doomer, all types of nasty stuff, becoming degenerates. And I'm not just talking about degenerates, frat bro. I'm talking about like isolated degenerates. Very sick stuff starts to happen in there when you don't have real love and care and you're forced into that darkness that is your soul, especially a soul that you've been abandoning for so long. So my boys, we're not thinking self-improvement to improve because we hate ourselves or because we've been rejected. We are looking to accept ourselves, and in accepting ourselves for the complexity of who we are, we want to actualize ourselves in as many ways as possible that we have the opportunity to in this life, and allow the people that appreciate our experience and love us and our ability to do that, allow them to help appreciate and complement the experience we are already cultivating for ourselves. Because if we keep self-improving, we keep running away from something. We keep trying to get somewhere to get away. But if we keep self-accepting, we only dig deeper into ourselves. That gives us more strength, more force, more inspiration to go further beyond ourselves. Start here and move it out. Don't go out here looking for what you're supposed to only find or what you can only find in here. Next angle, our new age spiritual people, those who get rejected from the Good Samaritan cult and traditional social acceptability for their religious practice, but they really can't be anything else in society other than self-proclaimed intellectuals and healers. What are they going to do? They are going to gaslight your whole entire human experience, especially as a marginalized person, and tell you that all of your suffering is your fault and you came into this earth. You signed a contract to come into this earth and to suffer under white supremacy and patriarchy and homophobia and anti-human behaviors. But now you're here to be the light, to help us all dissociate from our pain and trauma and live in a happy, positive lifestyle. Mind you, none of us hold any of the rich people who destroy this world accountable. We just blame you for feeling negative. And we also blame you for having negative emotions because that's low vibrational and you're bringing down our vibe. You're bringing down the vibe feeling those negative emotions. All you think about is trauma. All you think about is you're this, you're that. All you care about is this, blah, blah, blah. So instead of rejecting the world to accept yourself in a bastard form of accepting the self, you actually go about rejecting yourself and chasing the world. Because how crazy is that? Because you know what? Hey, what's going on inside of me is too much. Who I am is too confusing. What I want to do is too out there. So you know what? Let me just find a bunch of other people who are also in this limbo of self-confusion and then exist with them and validate my own confusion and inability to accept myself through them, while also taking this opportunity to invalidate all the dark, negative aspects of my life and stopping myself from taking responsibility for them. So one day in the future, when I don't need it to happen at all, these demons that I've been suppressing in my own Pandora's box can whack me in the face and take anything that I truly invested in and cared about right from my hands. Because I didn't pay that bill on time 10 years ago, now it's coming to collect in the present moment, when I totally forgot that it even had an opportunity to snake itself back like that. There's only so much bypassing and avoiding you can do of the responsibility before even you are at the mercy of external circumstances. And the reason why white people, more so than black people and marginalized people, fall for this new age spirituality stuff because it allows them to still feel like these divine, godly beings while taking not taking any accountability whatsoever for their ancestors and the impact that their ancestors had in a world full of people that don't look like them. Attempting to impose these systems, this society, onto a world of people that don't look like them, live like them, or act like them. Remember, it's always about self-rejection. Always about self-rejection. And realize this, when we live in a world where we're actually focused on complementary conscious communities instead of enmeshed cults of identities, then a community is the pool that supports the individual animal. It's the ecosystem that supports the individual person, the individual being, in helping them support-wise cultivate a life beyond fixtures, beyond needing to improve, beyond needing to punch the self to become somebody that you can hug finally. Let's make sure this is still recording. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, baby. The final aspect of this chart, if you want to call it, or of the leaders of self-improvement culture in the Western world, are the people who have just decided, you know what? That's all too deep, man. That's all way too much for me to even get into. Had to make sure this was still on too. Forgive me. You know what? That's all too much for us. Why don't we just hate ourselves? But let's not call it hating ourselves. Let's call it something else. Let's call it we're struggling together. Let's call it we're doing this together. Let's put ourselves in a cult of identity. Let's see what our identity is. Let's assess our circumstances on a very surface level, determine that there's an identity there that we can put a mask on ourselves with, and then let's find other people who do that same shit, and then let's exist with them so we don't have to address taking responsibility for our uniqueness, and then maybe the decisions that could come from deciding to pursue and actualize that unique life path. Know what I mean? And the reason why I aligned that with the bastard child more so than the feminine or the masculine is because this is something that is not, I don't believe, is inherently rooted or inherently associated with one side or the other. I believe that's something that all of us have rooted within us. Just the overwhelming nature that is knowing the self, and knowing the self in a world that desires to reject the self or a non-acceptable self. It just seems so much more convenient to just say, you know what, let's put that shit aside and let's not. Let's just be whatever society's going to validate me to be and drink the Kool-Aid, eat the crackers, call it a day. These people might feel the immediate validation, the immediate satisfaction that comes with being socially acceptable, even though they know they're just probably fulfilling a stereotype that validates this whole system. They don't realize that in self-rejection and not taking responsibility over the self and accepting the self in spite of a world full of self-rejection, you become codependent onto whatever external validation is providing you the sustenance to live your life. You become codependent onto your boss because they're paying your bills. You become codependent onto the hospital because you don't take responsibility for your health and wellness. You become codependent onto your home and your mortgage because you don't know the importance of travel and expanding yourself into the world beyond you. Allowing you to see that other people have different needs and have different responsibilities in this world, and it really is you at the mercy of what you're able to become aware of and what you truly take the steps towards actualizing. Not this greater external that you need to gain the validation of before being somebody worthy of self-acceptance. And to conclude this aspect of the video, because we're never going to end on a good note, all of these people, if you just wait, this is what I love about the internet age. If you just wait long enough to let these people just say everything that they can say about whatever they think they're intellectual about, you're going to realize that it's just, there's so many holes in it. And if they ever get that ashamed of the holes in their beliefs, this is just a direct funnel back to whatever is going to socially validate them. Right back to the child, the bystander, the self-hating, rejecting, wannabe neurotypical. Well, I get no validation being different, and these people aren't dumb enough to believe the ways I'm trying to manipulate them and get my own power, so I might as well just go back to the machine that's still going to serve me anyway, maybe. As long as I'm willing to reject myself enough, it'll serve me. And everybody else will be consequenced for not playing the game, not complying to the rules, not being a slave to the system at hand. Everybody else will be at the mercy of that. And how would that suffering, that manufactured suffering, how would that not alone inspire people to join the game that we're playing? And to perpetuate a system that needs the people more than the people need it. This is a good one today, man. This was a pretty solid episode. Pretty solid episode. And again, I guess if you guys would like me to explain more, you guys want me to get more in depth, you guys think I'm cute, you want to have sex, Instagram. If not, no, we could finish this video a little different. To conclude, a very important aspect of this episode is see what has inspired you to improve yourself. And are you improving yourself to fix yourself, or are you improving yourself to get to where you want to go? And if you know in your heart of hearts that you can get to where you want to go and you can be who you want to be, how is that not on the other side of self-acceptance first and then desiring to improve your circumstances in this life instead of improving yourself to be accepted? Because once you accept the self, you can become aware of the desires of the self and realize that is the collect call that only you can pick up in this life. You heard the outro already, bro. I ain't giving it to you again. But I hope you guys have a terrific day. I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your day, your night, your afternoon, and watching these videos, listening to me yap. Just like, dude, I feel like this is something that's going to be a part of my life for the next coming years. And I really feel like this is going to open the door to a lot of great stuff in this life for me. So I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to keep on giving you guys everything that I can. You know how I meant that. And we're just going to raise the consciousness one day at a time, whatever it takes. That's the kind of mode I'm on right now. I don't really give a fuck about what's blocking me anymore. I'm on that whatever it takes. About my dreams. We're 100% consensual on this page. Until next time, let's rock out.